Alrighty, PG-13. Vroom, 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 vroom. Vroom, 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 vroom. Start your engines. Vroom, 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 vroom. G.I.Joe 1982 Ram Cycle. The first introduction of the motorbike into the Joe line. Rock and roll, buddy. Now the Ram Cycle was pretty cool because you could separate the cannon from the actual bike. It did have a kickstand and some saddlebags. And well, I don't know about handles. I don't see any handles on this one. But the later versions, I think it was the 2008 and 2010 as well, but we only have the 2008. Now, you're in the Navy or heavy armor toys, the figure's hands can actually grip these handles. This little Gatling gun actually does rotate, I think. Yes, it does. So, and the saddlebags are a little larger. It's got a little more detail to it. But again, it's got the similar detail, but it's, you know, got some cool exhaust pipes there. It does have an actual reflective light, but not real light. Now this would have been cool if they would have invented a sidecar to attach onto it, like they did in the 1985 Silver Mirage. But the Ram Cycle did not have any missiles like the Silver Mirage does. And the Silver Mirage does have a sidecar. It does have handles for the figures to grip. And well, it does have weaknesses because they used a cheaper plastic, so you know, this tends to break. Your shocks will just buckle on you. Or the back part here is not strong enough. So again, you got another problem with the back. And then obviously over time it'll warp a bit. So it's not the best, but it's kind of cool because, you know, you fit 2 missiles here, fit a couple missiles on the sidecar, and you have a removable cannon. So again, if they would have remade this bike, you know, I mean, it even has like a bug deflector. This was a cool design for a bike, you know, looks awesome. It's got the motor and everything in there. I did love the Mirage, and quite often I'd always separate the sidecar. But I think the Ram did need a sidecar. So if they could have made like a special, you know, 60th anniversary Ram cycle with a sidecar that you could attach, you know, as an option, that would have been cool. Let's rock and roll. Now, another cool version was the Snarl. You got some guns down here. You got a little gun on the sidecar here that fires a projectile. But, you know, I wish this would have been able to easily remove this. I don't know if it'll end up breaking it if I try to pull it off. I forget. So, now this bike does look pretty killer, but it's pretty simple and basic. They didn't put as much detail down here in the engine. But again, it's got a... Oh yes, it has a kickstand too. Got a little kickstand underneath there. It's got some fat tires, more like racing tires. Ooh, and it even has figure stands on the back. But it's made for the modern figure, so what can you do? Now, if they would have made this for the actual vintage figures, or would have made a piece that you could clip in for the vintage figures, that would have been cool. Give us the option. You know, it is cool. It does move pretty good. You can actually move the handlebars. It's got that low rider feeling. Now that's another thing that they should have done. You know, the suicide handles. For the Dreadnoks, you know, we just got the the Dreadnok cycle. Out of everything, like, you think a biker gang would have way more bikes, but they did have a Ram cycle. Also came out, I think, was it 86? Yeah, in the 2-pack vehicle packs. So they did get a Ram cycle, but still, you know, a biker gang without real bikes. You got one. You got one Dreadnok bike. And it's not even like the actual motorcycle. It's more like, well, like a dirt bike when you got anyways, the trike. It should be the Dreadnok trike cycle. But it did have some bigger missiles, and it did have a cool cannon, some little deflectors on the side, and it does have a little bit of detail in there for sure. Number 13. Now, we did have Venom cycles. There's more. Oh yes, and there's still more. I think October Guard, I don't know if it was an exclusive, came out with a similar Snarl. So, this cycle, this bike is a little bit beefier. So it's made for durability. And again, it's got some cool detail. But I don't know what they did with those tires. And again, it's got the gimmicks, you know, fire at you. And it's got a little cannon on the side here. Does this actually fold down, or what's going on with this? Look at that. We have some technical difficulties here. Anyways, so it does hold the extra thing in the back. You know, not as good as a Snarler Venom cycle. I think there's also one in red. But you know, you'd think the Dreadnoks would have had a couple extra motorbikes for the line. Also, I think there is more Ram cycles that did come out. Like, there's one that's packaged with a Duke, and sometimes you can find it for $50. I seen it before. I did not get it. Did not have the funds at the time. But I do love the motorbikes, and I wish they would have come out with more for the line. So maybe Super 7 can remake a Ram cycle and give us a sidecar option. That would be kind of neat. Or they could remake the Snarl and make it for vintage. I sure hope that Super 7 does make the foot pegs the same. What is your favorite motorcycle out of the line? And I know, like, the Cobra Ferret, that's an ATV, that's more of a quad, so I don't know if you can consider that a motorcycle. You know, we needed more motorbikes in this line. I mean, the Ninja cycle really sucks. This is just all about gimmicks. Pull the thing in the back. So I'm not even going to consider this. It's like a crotch rocket. So there was other types of vehicles, like Dark Long's vehicle. Is that more of like a motorbike? Well, I don't know. But nonetheless, I think the Dreadnok should have for sure had a few more extra motorbikes. Come on, this is a badass biker gang, and they don't have any motorbikes. You know, in the episode in the Red Rocket, you know, maybe you know, Red Rocket restaurants that Roadblock's parents or grandparents owned. I think it was his grandparents. They did have extra bikers, so maybe we can get some deeper reach, some cool motorcycles for the bikers. That would be fantastic. And I'd like to see some motorcycles for the Joes. Even, like, I know they made crotch rockets for like some of the figures, but that's later on. And that's for the modern. So, what is your favorite motorcycle out of the line? Is it the Mirage? Is it the Ram cycle? Or is it the Snarl? And you know, these are harder to find, but once you get one in your hand, you're like, this is fantastic. I mean, if I could get a few more of these, make some for the Dreadnoks, that would be cool. It's like those zombie movies. Oh. The October Guard one, I think, is probably impossible to find as well. Don't forget, I've told you in other videos, you can go to Cobra Collectibles and order these guys, or maybe your collectible stores might have gotten you some Delta17 figures in, so you could get those, as well as the heavy armor toys. And yes, Strike Force Alpha, any of you own any of those figures yet? I am considering getting some. I don't know about the skull one. which line is that? Anyways, what they have. Anyways, we're not going to talk about the skull one because I think they're like 4 inches. They do have a 3 3/4, but other people have been pushing that stuff. So I'm just gonna, I'm excited because I'm gonna get some more of these heavy armor toy figures, and they're kind of good. This is just a nice bike. Too bad they didn't have anywhere to store weapons. Like, you can just kind of loosely put that on there, but they didn't have anything that you could clip in or clip on. Something to hold your weapon, even on the side. There is options for these bikes. Obviously this fits too. Double up. But which is your favorite cycle or motorbike out of the line? I'm actually leaning towards the Snarl cycle. It's pretty cool. If I could get a couple more of these for the Dreadnoks, hey, anyone wants to donate me a motorcycle, feel free to. Also, I love back in the day there was a Fisher-Price motorcycle that we used quite a bit for the line. I think it was like part of a stuntman or whatever. I don't know. In the 80s we played with everything. But as for the war, well, if America is not making more factories to build ammunition, as well as Europe, you guys are, let's take 5 to 10 years. Meanwhile, they're probably going to attack in like maybe a year or less. You wake up and smell the Armageddon. Well, we're going to tell you everything we're doing live on air. Just so you know. It's like, how stupid is the West and the Western Allies to just announce everything in the news? Oh yeah, it's going to take us maybe 5-10 years. It'll be attacked in like 2 years. Not enough time to get ready, eh, dumbasses? Like, you think your military intelligence would say, hey, get those factories made like in a month, or convert buildings that are empty into factories right away to make ammunition and more missiles to refill your stockpiles, and then you could take down some of those factories later on. But in the meantime, it's not World War II. You're not going to have a chance to set up factories, and this is a whole other new kind of warfare you're dealing with here. It's basically instant reaction. So if you don't have it now, you're not going to have it later if you're attacked. Anyways, thanks for watching. And remember, subscribe. And well, if the West doesn't get their act together, and India, you'll be attacked.